class. Let's have a quick revision of that. First was addition reaction. What do you mean by addition? What do you mean by addition reaction? What happens in addition reaction?
Reaction combined.
Ma'am, triple bond or double bond breaks so that new atoms can be combined
Yes.
in the
And the number of double and triple bonds are called as degree of unsaturation. So it decreases. Okay, then what are the types of addition reactions? Hydrogenation. What do you mean by hydrogenation? What do you mean by hydrogenation? What do you mean by hydrogenation?
Addition of hydrogen.
Addition of water.
Addition of
hydrogen.
हाइड्रोजन ऐड होता है तो उसके लिए कैटलिस्ट चाहिए होता है. वो क्या होता है कैटलिस्ट? क्योंकि हम हाइड्रोजन को स्टोर नहीं कर सकते. क्या होता है? निकल, प्लैटिनम एंड palladium heated to 200 degrees Celsius. What happens in this reaction? If I am taking alkyne, what will happen? अभी कितना है degree of unsaturation? What is the degree of unsaturation? How many pi bonds? Degree of unsaturation stands for number of pi bonds and ring. यहाँ कितने pi bonds हैं?
2.
And how many rings are there? How many rings?
1.
No rings. No rings. What is the degree of unsaturation in this case? It will become 2. Okay. Add hydrogen on each side. Now, what is the degree of unsaturation in this? Only 1 pi bond. Further, if you keep on adding 1 each side, and degree of unsaturation will become 0. That means what? What is happening in the whole process? What is happening in the whole process? The degree of unsaturation is decreasing. What do you mean by chlorination?
Addition of chlorine.
Addition of chlorine.
It will become addition of chlorine. Okay. Then if we go for addition of chlorine, so what will happen? जल्दी से डिवाइस करके बता दो. अगर सपोजिंग ये है और इसमें क्लोरीन ऐड किया तो क्या बनेगा? Give me the name of the compound. It is ethene. It will convert into what? What will be the name of this compound? Come on, everyone, tell me what will be the name of this compound?
1,2 dichloroethane.
Good. Can you get it? Can you get it? ठीक है. और किसका एडिशन कर सकते हैं? So supposing if I say addition of hydrobromination. What do you mean by hydrobromination?
Addition of bromine.
HBr. It will stand for what? Addition of HBr. ठीक है. इसमें हम एक चीज, yes, इसमें हमने एक चीज करी थी. अगर ये वाला मॉलिक्यूल है तो कोई ट्रबल नहीं है. We can add any side H and any side Br. But if अगर हमारे पास ऐसा मॉलिक्यूल है जहाँ number of hydrogen atoms are different, तो हम कौन सा रूल फॉलो करते हैं? There was one rule I told you. What is that rule called as? अगर नहीं याद है रूल कोई बात नहीं. उसका मीनिंग क्या था? Poor becomes poorer. You remember? What does this stand for? Why I'm writing poor becomes poorer?
मैम जिसके पास ज्यादा
H to the more
किसके पास हाइड्रोजन जाएगा? CH के पास या CH2 के पास?
CH2.
CH2
के पास, हाँ ना. और यहाँ पर कौन आएगा? Br. So that's what we mean by poor becomes poorer. This will be the major product. ओके, और या फिर कह लो मार्कोनिक ऑफ प्रोडक्ट। एक और बनेगा लेकिन वो उतना ज्यादा अमाउंट में नहीं बनेगा। जहां पर इसको जो पुअर है उसको रिच बना रहे हैं, क्वालिटी ला रहे हैं, वो वाला प्रोडक्ट नहीं बनेगा, यार बहुत कम अमाउंट में बनेगा। कैन यू गेट इट? कैन यू गेट इट?
Yes, ma'am.
याद आया? Okay, now if supposing I say hydration, what do you mean by hydration now?
Addition of water.
Very
Addition
good.
of water.
नाम से clear हो रहा है? Addition of water. Now if I add water, फिर से वही चीज है, अगर हमारे मॉलिक्यूल में दोनों साइड पाई बॉन्ड के दोनों साइड डबल या ट्रिपल बॉन्ड के जो कार्बन है उनमें दोनों में सेम नंबर ऑफ कार्बन है तो कोई ट्रबल नहीं है, हम किसी भी साइड कुछ भी लिख सकते हैं, इट विल बी द सेम प्रोडक्ट। ठीक है, और एडिशन ऑफ वाटर के लिए हमें क्या कैटलिस्ट चाहिए होता है? वाटर किस चीज के बिना रिएक्शन नहीं करता? एसिड डालना पड़ता है। यू हैव डन
Yes, ma'am.
प्रैक्टिकल्स इन योर स्कूल आल्सो, या होगा लाइट वाला, वाटर से लाइट जनरेट करने वाला, बल्ब जलाने वाला, उसमें वाटर में तुमने कुछ ड्रॉप्स ऑफ विनेगर या फिर कोई एसिड डाला होगा ना, to check the conductivity of water. Have you done any experiment like that?
No, ma'am.
हमारी बुक में भी नहीं था कोई। तुमने ये वाला चैप्टर तो पढ़ा ना, केमिकल रिएक्शंस वाला? Have you studied that chapter or not?
Dilute H2SO4.
तुमने पढ़ा कि नहीं सबने केमिकल रिएक्शंस वाला चैप्टर? बुक से पढ़ा था
Yes,
अपनी
ma'am.
स्कूल की?
Yes, ma'am.
उसमें डिकम्पोजिशन रिएक्शन आया था,
Yes, ma'am.
उसमें इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस आया था। इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस ऑफ वाटर में क्या यूज किया था? प्योर वाटर?
Electric.
क्या यूज किया था? प्योर वाटर यूज किया था।
Acidic water.
यस, तो यहाँ पे वाटर एसिड रिएक्शन नहीं
Acidic
कर
water.
सकता, उसमें सम अमाउंट ऑफ एसिड डालना ही पड़ेगा। ठीक है, तो फॉर एग्जांपल मैं डाइल्यूट H2SO4 डाल, अब समझेगा, अब याद रहेगा। डाइल्यूट
Yes,
H2SO4
ma'am.
का मतलब है वाटर
Yes,
रिएक्ट
ma'am.
करेगा, एसिड सिर्फ उसका कैटलिस्ट है। तो अब यहाँ वाली रिएक्शन तो इजी है, touch any side and add any side OH. But if my reaction contains different number of hydrogen atoms on both side of double bond, then what will be the major product? What will be the major product in this? ऊपर वाली चीज फॉलो करो, पुअर बिकम्स पुअरर, सेम।
Propanol 2.
यस, तो किधर हाइड्रोजन को देना है? जो ऑलरेडी रिच है उसको ही हाइड्रोजन देना है, तो ये H इधर जाएगा, दिस विल बी द मेजर प्रोडक्ट, एंड जो दूसरा बनेगा दैट विल बिकम, एक और प्रोडक्ट बनेगा वो दैट विल बिकम,
Propanol 1.
yes, and that will be major or minor?
Minor.
Minor.
Yes,
Minor.
good. And then I told you about addition reaction में ही we did about hydrogenation of fats. You did this reaction, hydrogenation of fats. हमने क्या पढ़ा था? Whatever we are using liquid state, vegetable oils and all, they are what? They are saturated or unsaturated?
Unsaturated.
Yes, they are unsaturated fatty acids, and that is the reason they are in liquid state at room temperature. Fine, but if we go for hydrogenation of this, and for which we require nickel at 200 degrees Celsius, what happens? They convert into what? They convert into what?
Saturated oil.
Yes, which is also called as vanaspati ghee. Okay,
Solid.
and that is saturated, and it is like it is solid. This was commercial importance of addition reaction. चलो addition reaction finish हो गई. दूसरी reaction और कौन सी कराई थी मैंने? कोई भी reaction बताओ जो भी मैंने कराई थी जल्दी से.
Substitution.
Substitution is same like displacement. What do you do in substitution? What do you do in substitution?
A more reactive atom displaces a less
Yes.
reactive atom in the compound.
Yes.
Less reactive
Yes,
element.
when more reactive atom or group of atoms displaces less reactive one. Okay. तो जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल इसमें भी हमने सिर्फ एक ही रिएक्शन करी थी, हैलोजिनेशन. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय हैलोजिनेशन? या फिर मैंने बोला क्लोरीनेशन या ब्रोमिनेशन. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय दिस? क्या होने वाला है? What will happen? What will halogenation stand for? Come on, you've done this in last class. I'm just doing a revision so that. What do you mean by halogenation?
Halogens are made to react with the compound.
Which compound? Which compound?
Saturated.
Saturated. Yes. If you react an halogen with an unsaturated hydrocarbon.
Addition reaction.
Yes. Plus halogen. तो अभी हमने halogenation दो तरीके का होता है. वो हमें खुद चेक करना पड़ेगा. If it is unsaturated, then it will give us an addition reaction. Okay, जैसे अभी किया हम लोगों ने chlorination. And see, it was unsaturated. It gave me an addition product. You get it? But if saturated है, addition तो हो नहीं सकता. क्या होगा? अगर saturated hydrocarbon है,
Substitution.
अब substitution होगा. Who will displace whom?
And the halogen will displace a hydrogen.
Yes, so the hydrogen atom being less reactive will get displaced. Okay, तो कब तक होता जाता है? कब तक होता रहता है?
As long as all the halogen is not reacted.
As
Sorry,
long as
as the
all the
hydrogen has been displaced.
Yes. So for example, chlorination, this is saturated. So it will keep on displacing, you can say, hydrogen.
CCl4.
Yes. अगर इसको excess में रखा है, तो it will keep on displacing till all the hydrogen is finished. Who is the most reactive halogen?
Fluorine.
And then
Chlorine, bromine, iodine.
yes.
Astatine.
Okay. What is required for halogenation to happen, like substitution to happen? What is the
Catalyst.
Yes, catalyst.
H3PO4.
No, substitution
Sunlight.
for substitution requires sunlight.
Bond dissociation energy.
Yes, bond dissociation energy. And from where does it come from?
Sunlight.
Yes,
Or
sunlight
heat provided.
or heat, anything of that sort. या light, बहुत high power की light दे दी है. Substitution clear हुआ? सिर्फ कब होगा? जब saturated लेके आओगे. Unsaturated के साथ नहीं होगा. वो पहले addition करेगा. ठीक है? Next कौन सा reaction किया था?
Combustion.
Combustion. So combustion is quite easy. दो तरीके के होते हैं. कौन-कौन से?
In limited supply of oxygen and unlimited supply of
You
oxygen.
can say complete combustion होगा और दूसरा partial combustion होगा. हमें एक ही चीज याद रखनी है कि हमारे जो प्रोडक्ट होंगे complete combustion में क्या आएंगे? क्या प्रोडक्ट मिलते हैं?
CO2 and water.
And for incomplete or partial combustion we will always get
Carbon monoxide and water.
ठीक है. जो हमने last class में किया था उसका एक quick revision हो गया. फिर एक और reaction करी थी last.
Esterification.
Yes. So as the name says, esterification will stand for formation of ester. Formation of ester means ester is just like an organic salt. How are salts formed?
Neutralization reaction.
Neutralization. So esterification is nothing but a neutralization reaction. So organic acid loge. How will you identify an organic acid? What is an organic acid?
Ma'am, RCOH.
Yes. And then you take an organic alcohol. What is an organic alcohol? कैसे identify?
ROH.
ROH. तो जैसे न्यूट्रलाइजेशन में होता था ना, ये एक H देता था, ये OH देता था, दोनों मिलकर के वाटर बना लेते थे. And we have ester and water, salt and water. Esters को कैसे पहचानते हैं? What is the way to identify that this compound is going to be ester without a chemical reaction? Didn't I tell you that esters are fruity smelling compounds? जो एक बहुत प्लीजेंट सी स्मेल आती है ना फ्रूट से, वो किसकी वजह से होती
Yes,
है?
ma'am.
एस्टर्स की वजह से. फाइन. तो बेसिकली ये वाला पार्ट किससे आता है? RCO वाला पार्ट. दिस बिलोंग्स टू whom? ये वाला पार्ट किसकी वजह से आता है? कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड की वजह से. और जो ये O के बाद लगा हुआ जो एल्काइल होता है वो किसकी वजह से आता है? इट इज ड्यू टू अल्कोहल. कैन यू गेट इट?
Yes, ma'am.
फिर इससे रिलेटेड मैंने कुछ क्वेश्चंस भी किए होंगे ना. लाइक आई गिव यू सम नेम ऑफ एस्टर्स एंड देन आई वुड हैव टोल्ड यू टेल मी कौन सा एसिड से आया है, कौन से बेस से आया है. ऐसे कुछ क्वेश्चंस किए थे ना लास्ट
Yes,
क्लास
ma'am.
में.
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है. तो अब देखो इसका कमर्शियल इंपॉर्टेंस. इसका कमर्शियल इंपॉर्टेंस इज यू कॉल इट एज सपोनिफिकेशन रिएक्शन. Now what do you mean by saponification reaction? That is soap formation. कैसे करते हैं? तो soap क्या होता है basically? Soaps are nothing but they are salts of fatty acids. Okay, so soaps are sodium or potassium salts of fatty acids. So what happens is, how is esterification reaction different from saponification reaction? You will take any kind of acid and you will react it with, instead of using an organic alcohol, you are going to use NaOH or KOH. So यहाँ पे what will be the ester formed? What will be the product formed? In this case, what will be the product formed?
RCOONA.
Yes, RCOONA. So can I say it is a sodium salt? Okay, and that is your soap. And same way, here it will become RCOOK, and that is, what is the property of the base? If supposing there are two vessels which are containing, one is containing acid, one is containing base, without touching them, like without using litmus paper or anything, how will you tell you it is a acid and it is a base? What is one of the property of the base?
It is soapy to touch.
Yes, so bases are soapy to touch. That soapy touch, how do you get? Because of the sodium or the potassium hydroxide you are using. So these are your soaps. Okay, what is basically it is, you take any kind of fatty acid, like you take any kind of vegetable oil depending upon whatever your need is. Okay, so and then your vegetable oils are generally higher family members of carboxylic acids, like C17, C18 members. बड़े बड़े जो members होते हैं वो होते हैं. So they are generally like, I take one of them like this. This is one of them. Okay. So when this a very heavy member of carboxylic acid is allowed to react with any of the bases, or we can say, to be precise, with alkali, I get COONA, which will act as a soap, and this will act as water. Can you get what is a soap? How it is manufactured? Can you get the
And
manufacturing?
the esters can be acidic and basic also.
What?
And the esters formed can be acidic or basic also.
No, they are neutral. Acid is organic acids and alcohols are basic. The neutralization reaction is happening now. What made you think that it can be acid or base?
Like ma'am, in sometimes acidic salts are formed or basic salts are formed in.
That happens in case of partial neutralization. And that happens when you have more than, when your basicity is more than 1 or your acidity is more than 1. That is like you have a tendency कि तुम एक से ज़्यादा दे सकते हो, तब होता है ना.
Okay.
Okay, so over here it will be normal because both have unit basicity and unit acidity. यहाँ पे partial नहीं होता. Partial तब होता है जब तुम्हारा polybasic acid या फिर polyacidic base होगा. Difference clear है?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है, so it cannot be. It is generally neutral, but because अगर हम soap की बात करें, because this you can say your these are weakly acidic. You have already done in the acid base and salts wala chapter, and this is weakly basic. We have done in such cases, what happens when you have a weak acid reacting with a strong base? तो जो salt का जो soap का nature होता है वो कैसा होगा?
They are basic in nature.
We have done this thing, hydrolysis of salts में तुमने किया था, when you have weak acid reacting with a strong base, the salt is what?
Basic.
Yes, salt is basic in nature, and that is why soaps show which nature? Soaps have high tendency to show.
Basic.
Yes, so can you follow this? Why are these basic in nature?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think now your doubt is clear. The acidic ester and the basic ester wala cheez.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's nothing of that sort. So that's why it is, you can say, basic in nature. So the whole thing is clear about the esterification and the commercial importance of this reaction. Commercial importance is as well clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now let's move towards.
All bases are soapy.
What?
All bases are soapy.
Strong ones are, alkalis are. Okay, so now moving to the other part, how does it really work in, like, what is the purpose of soaps?
It is used as a cleansing agent.
Yes, they are using as in cleansing agents. So how do you use it exactly? Do you remember that saying I told you in the last classes, like dissolves like? What does this stand for? What does this stand for? Chemical bonding में किया था, like dissolves like. What does it stand for?
The compound should be bonded by the same type of bonding.
Yes, that means what? We can say polar solvents, polar solutes, or you can say ionic compounds dissolve in polar solvents. Okay. Like I gave you the example also, NaCl is soluble in water. The reason, can you understand? What is the reason for this? Can you understand? But we also did that non-polar solute will dissolve in,
Non-polar solvent.
yes. So non-polar solute, like you can say waxes, carbon, hydrogen containing. You can just control waxes, oils, dissolve in non-polar solvents. Can you give me an example of non-polar solvent?
Ma'am, petrol, benzene.
Yes, you can go with benzene. So that is the reason you can just check out why oil is not soluble in water. But where it will be soluble? Where it will be soluble?
Many organic compound.
Yes, it will
Organic.
be easily soluble in organic compound. Fine. Okay, so now see what happens when you talk about the cleansing action of soap. So there are two parts on it. So supposing I'm talking about this type, like this one. Can you identify the two parts in this? What are the two parts in this? Can you just classify into two fragments?
One is carboxylic acid and the other would be a base.
Yes, so see this part is making a polar part, or you can say it is making an ionic bond, and this part is whole a covalent, or you can say this is whole non-polar part. Can you see two fragments?
Yes,
Can you see
ma'am.
two fragments? ठीक है, तो अब इसको properly explain करने के लिए ना इस diagram को I am converting into like this, fine, so that थोड़ा मेरे को बार बार ना लिखना पड़े. I'm writing it like this. So this is representing the non-polar part जो मैंने tail type का बनाया हुआ है. That is representing the non-polar part, and the head is representing the polar part. Will you be able to differentiate now? Can you understand the polar and the
Yes,
non-polar
ma'am.
part? Okay. So now if I go with this, तो हमें किसकी cleansing करनी होती है? मतलब हमारे पास जो impurities होती हैं, they are in which format? What are the impurities? इसको clean करना होता है soap से. What are the impurities? It is your sweat,
Sweat, dust.
oils excreted by the body. Okay. Then you can say food. कभी-कभी वो हो जाता है. All these parts are which? They are going to be organic components or inorganic components?
Inorganic.
They are made, all they are organic or not? These impurities are
Yes, ma'am.
excreted by body. What is the definition of organic things? Anything which is excreted by living organism. So और जो भी impurities हैं यहाँ पे discuss कर रहे हैं वो organic में आएंगी या inorganic में आएंगी?
Organic.
Organic.